Hey there, everyone! Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the real-life stories and choices that shape our lives. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating trend that's been quietly emerging among older American men. More and more are choosing to stay single. This might seem surprising, but when you dig into the reasons behind it, you'll find that these decisions are layered with personal experiences, deep emotions, and some very practical considerations. So if you're interested in understanding what's really going on, stick around. We'll explore what's happening, why, and how it reflects broader shifts in our society. And hey, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's jump in. 1. The clash of personalities, navigating the complexity of American women. As men age, especially those between 55 and 75, their perspectives on relationships and companionship often evolve significantly. For a growing number of men in this age group, the choice to remain single has become more common. While every man's journey is unique, there are recurring themes and reasons that explain this decision. The factors influencing these choices are complex, ranging from past experiences and emotional scars to health concerns and shifting life priorities. One of the biggest challenges that older men face is a clash of personalities when trying to navigate the complexities of dating, especially with modern American women. For many older men, the current dating scene presents a whole new set of challenges, far different from what they encountered in their youth. In today's world, American women, particularly those in the same age bracket, are more independent, assertive, and direct than men were accustomed to when they were younger. Now, these traits are admirable in many ways. Independence and assertiveness are fantastic qualities. But for men who grew up in a different social and cultural era, where gender roles were more clearly defined, this can feel like uncharted territory. Men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s often find themselves feeling out of sync with women who are more vocal about their opinions and expectations. These women have spent decades developing their careers, raising families, and managing their lives independently. For men who aren't used to this level of assertiveness, these interactions can sometimes feel overwhelming or even confrontational. And look, it's not that these men don't appreciate strong personalities, many absolutely do. But after a lifetime of working and building a life, many older men are simply looking for peace and simplicity. They aren't necessarily looking for the emotional strain that can come with navigating a relationship where personalities sometimes clash. Especially when it comes to the bluntness and direct communication style of many modern women, some men just find it's not worth the potential emotional exhaustion. This doesn't mean these men are running from relationships out of fear, it's more about making a conscious choice. For a lot of them, the idea of engaging in emotionally charged or intense interactions is just too exhausting. They've been through enough drama in their lives, and at this stage, they're opting for the quieter, more predictable path of being single. What's interesting here is that, for these men, choosing to stay single isn't about loneliness or bitterness. It's about knowing themselves well enough to decide what kind of life they want moving forward. Peace, comfort, and predictability, these things become incredibly valuable. They want to enjoy their time without the complexities that often come with modern relationships, and that's totally valid. Another important point to consider is how gender roles have evolved over the decades. In the past, the roles in relationships were more rigidly defined. Men were often seen as the primary providers, while women were traditionally responsible for maintaining the household and caring for children. Now, things have changed, thankfully, for the better, but these shifts can sometimes lead to mismatched expectations in relationships. For older men who are still adjusting to these changes, it can create a sense of being out of step with what's expected of them in a partnership today. And then there's the concept of emotional labor. Many older men, whether they realize it or not, may feel ill-prepared for the kind of emotional engagement that's expected in relationships today. Modern partnerships often require a level of emotional availability and openness that some men simply aren't used to. It's not that they're incapable of it, they've just never been taught how to do it in a way that feels natural or comfortable. So, rather than diving into something that feels overwhelming, many prefer to keep things simple by staying single. It's also worth noting that there's a big difference between the dating landscape of today and that of decades ago. The advent of online dating, social media, and changing societal norms means that relationships now come with new challenges and opportunities. But for men in their later years, who may not be as comfortable with technology or as familiar with the norms of modern dating, this shift can feel like yet another barrier. It's easy to see why, for many, the prospect of navigating this unfamiliar territory is more trouble than it's worth. For these men, solitude isn't something to fear, it's something to be embraced. There's a comfort in living life on your own terms, in having the freedom to decide what your day looks like without needing to consider someone else's preferences or expectations. And many older men have found that they genuinely enjoy their own company. They've built a life that works for them, and they're in no rush to change it. So, as we kick off this exploration of why so many older American men are choosing to stay single, it's important to understand that it's not a decision made lightly. It's a choice that's deeply personal, influenced by the experiences they've had, the lives they've built, and the things they've come to value most as they've gotten older. If you're finding this discussion insightful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We cover a lot of topics about life, relationships, and the wisdom that comes with age. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on future videos, and drop a comment below to share your thoughts on this topic. Are you seeing the same trends among men you know? Let's talk about it. Stay tuned, because next up, we're diving into why the comfort of solitude can be so appealing for older men, and why more and more of them are embracing single life as a path to true contentment. 2. The comfort of solitude, enjoying the peace of single life. For many older men, the choice to stay single is about far more than just avoiding the challenges that come with relationships. It's about embracing a kind of freedom and comfort that only solitude can bring. After years of working tirelessly, raising families, and navigating the ups and downs of life, many men reach a point where they find themselves perfectly content with their own company. The comfort of solitude becomes not a consolation prize, but a valued and deliberate choice. Think about it, for these men, there's a kind of autonomy that comes from being single. They're free to make decisions without having to compromise or consider someone else's needs or expectations. They can watch what they want on TV, eat what they like, go to bed when it suits them, and live on their own terms, all without the negotiations that relationships often require. This independence, once tasted, can be incredibly sweet. It's a sense of control over their own lives that's hard to give up. And it's not just about the little things. The quietness of single life offers a break from the emotional demands that relationships often bring. Many older men who have been through marriages, raised children, and shouldered a lot of responsibilities are now at a stage where simplicity is incredibly appealing. They've experienced enough of life's highs and lows, and now they find joy in the predictable, in the calm rhythm of days that are free from the drama that sometimes comes with romantic partnerships. There's also the aspect of redefining companionship. Many of these men find companionship in other ways, and pets, particularly dogs, play a huge role here. A loyal pet can provide the kind of comfort and companionship that doesn't come with emotional complications. A dog doesn't argue, doesn't have expectations, and is always there with unwavering loyalty. This bond can be deeply fulfilling and often gives men the emotional connection they need, without the complexities of a human relationship. Social circles also evolve differently for older men who choose to stay single. Instead of centering their social lives around a romantic partner, they often find joy in building friendships that are meaningful and less demanding. There's an unspoken understanding among friends, a level of ease that doesn't require constant emotional upkeep. For many men, the friendships they have at this stage in their lives are incredibly rewarding. It's the kind of companionship that doesn't come with the same stakes or the potential heartbreak of a romantic relationship. Another aspect is the freedom to focus on their own passions and interests. Being single allows these men to dive deeper into hobbies that they may have had to put on hold earlier in life. Whether it's woodworking, fishing, gardening, traveling, or even taking up new skills like painting or learning a musical instrument, the time they have now is entirely theirs to allocate as they wish. There's no need to justify spending hours on a project or indulging in a hobby. This freedom to explore their interests without limitations is incredibly fulfilling. Financial independence also plays a huge role in why many men are choosing the single life. After decades of working, building savings, and perhaps even recovering from financial setbacks like a divorce, many older men prioritize stability and control over their finances. Relationships, especially those later in life, often come with financial considerations that can feel burdensome. Sharing expenses, dealing with potential debts, or even worrying about how a new partner might affect their financial plans for retirement can be enough to make staying single seem like the wiser choice. By staying single, they maintain full control over their finances, spending as they see fit, whether that's on hobbies, travel, or saving for the future. This isn't to say that they aren't open to connections. Many men in this age group enjoy socializing, dating casually, or maintaining friendships that offer a level of intimacy without the commitments of a serious relationship. They're not isolated or withdrawn from the world, but rather, they're choosing a form of companionship that aligns with their needs and desires at this point in their lives. The idea here is balance, finding meaningful connections without the pressures and complications of traditional relationships. There's also something to be said about the emotional recovery that comes with solitude. Many older men have had relationships that ended in heartbreak, whether through divorce, death, or simply growing apart. These experiences can leave emotional scars that take time to heal. Solitude offers the space for that healing process, a chance to recover, reflect, and rebuild without the pressure of jumping back into another relationship. For many, this time alone is crucial in regaining a sense of self, in understanding who they are outside of a partnership. The peace that comes from not having to worry about pleasing a partner or maintaining a relationship can be deeply restorative. Another common reason older men embrace singlehood is that, for many, they have reached a point where they feel they have experienced all they want to in the realm of relationships. They've loved, they've lost, they've experienced the joys and the challenges, and now, they are ready for something different. The idea of been there, done that rings true. They're content with the memories they have and are not necessarily looking to create new ones in a romantic context. Instead, they find fulfillment in other areas of life, whether that's spending time with family, traveling, or simply enjoying the quiet moments of everyday life. There's also the simple, undeniable fact that some people are just happier on their own. Not everyone feels the need to be in a relationship to be fulfilled, and that's perfectly okay. For some men, solitude is not something to be dreaded but something to be cherished. It's about understanding themselves and knowing what truly makes them happy, and for many, the answer is the freedom and simplicity that come from being on their own. It's important to recognize that choosing to stay single doesn't mean choosing loneliness. Many older men have built fulfilling lives full of activities, friendships, and passions that keep them engaged and happy. The narrative that being single equals being lonely is outdated and simply not true for everyone. There is a significant difference between being alone and being lonely, and many older men have mastered the art of being alone without feeling isolated. They know how to keep busy, how to stay connected, and most importantly, how to enjoy their own company. In the end, the choice to embrace solitude is about pursuing a life that feels right for them. It's about valuing peace, autonomy, and the kind of comfort that comes from living life on their own terms. It's a conscious decision to prioritize their own happiness in a way that makes sense to them. And while this choice might seem unconventional to some, it's a path that leads to contentment for many older men. So, when we talk about older American men choosing to stay single, we're not just talking about avoidance or fear. We're talking about men who are making thoughtful decisions about what they want their lives to look like, and for many, that means embracing the comfort, simplicity, and freedom that comes with being single. 3. Limited dating options, geographic and social barriers. For many older American men, one of the significant factors behind the choice to remain single is the simple lack of suitable dating options. When you consider the realities of geography, lifestyle preferences, and social barriers, it becomes evident why a substantial number of men between 55 and 75 are opting to remain on their own. The limited pool of available partners, particularly for those living in smaller towns or rural areas, plays a major role in these decisions, making the pursuit of companionship more challenging than it might initially seem. Living in a rural area has many advantages: a slower pace of life, less noise, a greater sense of community, but when it comes to dating opportunities, it can often be quite limiting. Unlike urban centers, where there are countless social events, clubs, and activities to help foster new connections, rural areas may lack those same opportunities. In cities, the variety of events and venues means there's always the chance to meet someone who shares your interests. But for those living in more isolated areas, the chances of meeting someone suitable decrease significantly. The smaller population means fewer opportunities to meet someone whose interests, values, and life stage align with their own. For older men who have lived in the same community for decades, their social circles may have already been established long ago, making it difficult to find new romantic partners. The same faces, the same neighbors, the same local events, there's a comfort in that familiarity, but it also means that meeting someone new isn't always easy. And when you've already formed strong friendships with most of the people in your community, the potential for a romantic connection can feel limited. The idea of dating someone who's already a close friend or an acquaintance within a tight-knit community can be daunting, and many men prefer to avoid the potential awkwardness or complications that could arise from such relationships. Another factor at play is the way that interests and hobbies evolve over time. Men in this age group often find that their interests differ significantly from those of the women in their immediate geographic area. While some men might enjoy hobbies like fishing, woodworking, or working on cars, the available women in their social circles may have different interests that don't necessarily overlap. This difference can make finding common ground challenging, and it becomes harder to establish meaningful connections that could lead to a romantic relationship. It's not that these men aren't open to learning new things or engaging in different activities, but there's often a sense of comfort in being with someone who already shares their passions. It's also important to recognize that many older men have particular preferences or standards when it comes to choosing a partner. They may be attracted to women with certain qualities or lifestyles that are simply harder to find in their immediate environment. For instance, they might be drawn to women who are adventurous, enjoy traveling, or are still active in ways that match their own energy levels. However, those women might not be present in rural settings, or they might not be interested in men from those regions due to differences in lifestyle or expectations. This mismatch can make dating feel like a frustrating pursuit, leading many men to ultimately decide that staying single is the better option. For men who do consider looking for love beyond their geographic area, there are other challenges to face. Long-distance relationships can be tough at any age, but for older men who are more set in their routines and less eager to uproot their lives, the idea of maintaining a relationship across distances is especially daunting. Traveling regularly to visit a partner, or even considering moving to a new location to be closer to someone, might not be practical or desirable for men who have spent years building a life in a particular place. Many older men have strong ties to their communities, family, and friends, and they value those connections highly. The thought of leaving all of that behind for a relationship is often enough to make them decide against pursuing anything serious with someone outside their immediate area. Technology has certainly changed the way people meet, with online dating now being more accessible than ever before. But for older men, especially those who are not particularly tech-savvy, online dating can feel more like an obstacle than an opportunity. Navigating dating apps, creating profiles, and dealing with the often superficial nature of online interactions can be intimidating and disheartening. Many older men aren't comfortable putting themselves out there in such a public way, and they may feel that the nuances of their personality aren't easily conveyed through a few photos and a brief bio. The fear of rejection or of being misrepresented online can be enough to dissuade them from even trying. There's also a cultural shift to consider. The way people date has changed dramatically since these men were younger. Today, there's a much stronger emphasis on speed dating, swiping left or right, instant messaging, and for many older men, this doesn't align with how they approach relationships. They're used to taking their time, to getting to know someone gradually, to building a connection based on shared experiences. The idea of quick judgments and instant attraction can feel foreign and uncomfortable, which makes the whole process of modern dating feel unappealing. For these men, the way they prefer to form relationships simply doesn't mesh well with the fast-paced, digital dating world of today. Beyond the practical challenges, there's also an emotional side to consider. Many older men have been through previous marriages or long-term relationships, and they carry with them the memories and emotional experiences of those times. These experiences often shape their expectations for future relationships, and in some cases, their reluctance to pursue new ones. They may be hesitant to put themselves in a position where they could face the same heartbreak or challenges they've dealt with in the past. And when the pool of potential partners seems limited, it's easy to conclude that the effort and emotional risk simply aren't worth it. The reality of geographic and social barriers is that they can be isolating. When your environment doesn't naturally lend itself to meeting new people, it can be easy to fall into routines that don't allow for much change. This doesn't mean that these men are unhappy, many are content with the lives they've built. But the practical challenges of finding a partner in these circumstances mean that, for many, the idea of dating again feels like an unnecessary complication. The comfort of a predictable, well-established routine often outweighs the potential benefits of a romantic relationship. The decision to remain single, particularly in these contexts, isn't about giving up on love or companionship. It's about understanding the realities of their own lives, their environment, and their desires. It's about making a practical choice that prioritizes their well-being and acknowledges the challenges that come with trying to find love later in life. And for many older men, choosing to stay single is a decision made with clarity and confidence, recognizing that their happiness doesn't necessarily depend on being in a romantic relationship. If you're finding these insights interesting and relatable, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We love diving deep into topics like this, exploring the real reasons behind the choices people make, and uncovering the truths that shape our lives. Hit that notification bell so you're always in the loop, like this video if you're enjoying the content, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you noticed similar trends in your own community? Let's keep the conversation going. 4. Financial independence, prioritizing stability and control. For many older men, particularly those between the ages of 55 and 75, financial independence is a significant factor in the decision to remain single. After decades spent building careers, saving for retirement, and recovering from setbacks like divorce or economic downturns, maintaining control over their finances has become a priority. The choice to stay single isn't simply about avoiding the complexities of a relationship, it's also about safeguarding the stability and security they've worked so hard to achieve. One of the biggest challenges that many older men face when considering a new relationship is the potential financial burden it could bring. Many men in this age group have been through divorces, which often come with significant financial repercussions. Homes, pensions, savings, these can all be affected in the event of a divorce, and it can take years to recover from the financial impact. For those who have spent decades rebuilding their savings and creating a stable financial future, the idea of entering a new relationship and risking that stability can be daunting. There's also the reality that, for many older men, financial independence equals freedom. They've reached a stage in their lives where they enjoy the ability to make decisions about how they spend their money without needing to consider someone else's input. Whether it's spending on hobbies, travel, or simply maintaining a certain lifestyle, the control they have over their finances is something they value deeply. Relationships, on the other hand, often bring expectations of shared financial responsibilities. This can be a source of stress, especially for men who have already experienced financial setbacks in the past. The fear of losing control over their hard-earned money is enough to make many decide that staying single is the better option. Another important factor is the concern over inheriting a partner's financial problems. Many older men are wary of the potential for a new partner to bring financial complications into their lives, such as debt from credit cards, loans, or medical expenses. These issues can quickly become a shared burden in a relationship, potentially jeopardizing the financial security that these men have worked so hard to achieve. For men who are financially stable, the thought of taking on someone else's financial troubles is not an attractive prospect. It's not that they lack empathy, it's more about self-preservation. After years of working to secure their own financial future, the risk of losing that stability is simply too great. Many older men also have specific financial goals that they are working towards, such as safeguarding a legacy for their children or ensuring that they have enough savings to support themselves comfortably throughout their retirement. Relationships can complicate these goals, particularly when there are expectations around shared finances or when a new partner has children of their own who may also require financial support. For men who have spent years planning for their retirement, the idea of diverting funds away from those plans to support someone else can be a deal breaker. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor, to travel, to indulge in hobbies, or to simply live comfortably, without the pressure of supporting another person financially. There's also the question of financial compatibility. Just as people have different personalities, they also have different financial habits and philosophies. Some individuals are savers, others are spenders, and these differences can lead to significant conflicts in a relationship. Older men who have spent years developing their own approach to money management may be hesitant to enter a relationship where there could be friction over spending habits or financial priorities. For these men, the peace of mind that comes from managing their own money without having to compromise or argue about finances is invaluable. Additionally, many older men are cautious about how a new relationship could impact their existing financial commitments. For example, men who have gone through a divorce may still be paying alimony or supporting children from a previous marriage. These ongoing financial responsibilities can be a major consideration when thinking about starting a new relationship. The fear of adding more financial obligations on top of what they are already dealing with can make the prospect of dating unappealing. The stability that comes with being single allows these men to focus on meeting their current obligations without the added stress of new financial responsibilities. Health-related expenses are another concern that plays into the decision to remain single. As men age, healthcare becomes an increasingly important part of their financial planning. The costs associated with medical care, whether it's routine checkups, treatment for chronic conditions, or long-term care, can be substantial. For many older men, maintaining financial independence means being able to cover these expenses without relying on anyone else. The idea of taking on a partner who might also have significant health-related financial needs can be overwhelming, particularly when they are focused on ensuring that they have enough resources to take care of themselves as they age. Beyond the practical aspects of financial independence, there's an emotional component as well. For many men, the ability to support themselves financially is closely tied to their sense of identity and self-worth. After spending years building a career, achieving financial stability, and taking pride in their ability to provide for themselves and their families, the thought of entering a relationship that could potentially threaten that independence can feel like a loss of control. It's not just about the money, it's about what that money represents: autonomy, freedom, and the ability to live life on their own terms. For many older men, that sense of independence is something they are not willing to compromise. This focus on financial independence doesn't mean that older men aren't interested in companionship or that they are unwilling to share their lives with someone. Many enjoy dating casually or forming connections that don't come with the financial entanglements of a serious relationship. They want the emotional benefits of companionship without the risks that come with combining finances or taking on new financial responsibilities. By keeping their finances separate, they can enjoy the best of both worlds, the connection and intimacy of a relationship without the potential financial complications. There's also the simple fact that, for many older men, the financial landscape of relationships has changed significantly over the years. In the past, it was more common for men to be the primary breadwinners, and there was a clear expectation that they would provide for their partners. Today, those expectations have shifted, and many women are financially independent. However, this shift can create confusion or mismatched expectations about how finances should be managed in a relationship. For men who have spent most of their lives adhering to a particular financial model, adapting to these new expectations can be challenging. Rather than navigate these potentially tricky waters, many choose to remain single, where their financial situation is entirely under their control. Ultimately, the decision to stay single is about more than just money. It's about prioritizing stability, maintaining control over their own lives, and ensuring that they can enjoy their later years without the stress of financial uncertainty. For many older men, the peace of mind that comes from knowing they are in control of their own financial future is worth more than the potential emotional benefits of a relationship. They have worked hard to build the life they have, and they are determined to protect it. It's a practical, thoughtful decision that reflects their experiences, their priorities, and their desire for a comfortable, secure future. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the choices that older men are making about relationships and financial independence, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more insightful content coming your way. Make sure to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the importance of financial independence in relationships? Let's keep the conversation going. 5. Emotional wounds, the loss of confidence in dating. For many older men, the choice to remain single isn't just about practical considerations like finances or geographic limitations, it's also deeply tied to their emotional experiences and the wounds they carry from the past. The emotional scars that come from previous relationships, particularly those that ended painfully, can have a profound impact on their willingness and ability to engage in new romantic relationships. As men get older, they often find that their confidence in the dating world has diminished, replaced by feelings of self-doubt and uncertainty that can be hard to shake. One of the most common emotional hurdles that older men face is the loss of confidence that comes from being out of the dating game for a long time. Many men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s haven't dated for decades, either because they were in long-term relationships or because they chose to focus on other aspects of their lives. The dating landscape has changed dramatically since they were younger, and the idea of stepping back into it can feel intimidating. The norms of dating have evolved, with online dating, swiping apps, and a greater emphasis on instant connections becoming the new reality. For men who are used to a more traditional approach, this can feel like a world they no longer understand. The fear of rejection is another powerful factor that keeps many older men from pursuing new relationships. When they were younger, rejection might have been easier to brush off, a part of the game, something that could be shrugged away. But as men age, rejection can feel more personal, more reflective of their perceived shortcomings. They may worry that they no longer have the same appeal they once did, whether because of physical changes, health issues, or simply because they feel out of touch with modern dating norms. The possibility of putting themselves out there only to be turned down can be enough to make them avoid dating altogether. These feelings of self-doubt are often compounded by the changes that come with aging. Physical appearance plays a significant role in confidence, and for many older men, the inevitable changes in their bodies can lead to feelings of insecurity. Gray hair, wrinkles, weight gain, these are all natural parts of aging, but they can be difficult to accept, especially in a dating context where physical attraction is often emphasized. Men who once felt confident in their appearance may now feel unsure about how they are perceived, which can make the idea of dating feel daunting. It's not just about how they look, but also about how they feel about themselves. If they don't feel attractive or desirable, it becomes much harder to imagine that someone else would see them that way. The emotional wounds from past relationships can also play a major role in the decision to stay single. Many older men have experienced the pain of divorce or the loss of a long-term partner, and these experiences leave deep scars. Divorce, in particular, can be a traumatic experience that affects not just a man's financial situation, but also his emotional well-being. The end of a marriage often brings with it a sense of failure, a feeling that they couldn't make it work despite their best efforts. This sense of failure can linger, making them hesitant to try again for fear of repeating the same mistakes or experiencing the same pain. The loss of a partner, whether through divorce or death, also comes with a period of grief and adjustment that can last for years. For many men, the idea of starting over after such a loss feels overwhelming. They may still be processing their grief, still coming to terms with the loss of someone who was a significant part of their life. The thought of opening themselves up to someone new, of making themselves vulnerable again, can feel like too much to bear. It's not that they don't want companionship, but rather that the emotional cost of pursuing it feels too high. Social anxiety is another barrier that keeps many older men from re-entering the dating scene. As people age, their social circles often shrink, particularly if they are no longer working or if they have moved away from the communities they were once part of. For men who are out of practice when it comes to socializing, the idea of putting themselves out there can be intimidating. They may feel unsure of how to start a conversation, how to express interest without coming on too strong, or how to navigate the complexities of modern dating etiquette. This uncertainty can lead to a sense of paralysis, where it feels easier to simply avoid the situation altogether rather than risk the potential embarrassment of making a misstep. There's also the fear of being judged. Many older men worry that they will be judged for their age, their lifestyle, or their past. They may fear that potential partners will see them as too old, too set in their ways, or too burdened by past experiences to be desirable. This fear of judgment can be paralyzing, especially when it comes to the vulnerable act of putting themselves out there in the hopes of finding a connection. The idea of being evaluated and found lacking is a powerful deterrent, one that keeps many men from even attempting to date. For some older men, the emotional wounds they carry are tied to a sense of lost identity. In long-term relationships, especially marriages, people often define themselves in terms of their role within that relationship. They are a husband, a partner, a provider. When that relationship ends, either through divorce or death, they can be left feeling unmoored, unsure of who they are outside of that role. This loss of identity can make it difficult to imagine starting a new relationship. They may not feel like they have a clear sense of themselves to bring to a new partnership, and until they regain that sense of identity, the idea of dating can feel impossible. The longer men remain single, the harder it can be to break out of the cycle of isolation. Without regular practice, social skills can become rusty, making the prospect of dating feel even more intimidating. The comfort of routine, the predictability of a solitary life, can start to feel safer than the unknowns of dating. It's a cycle that becomes self-reinforcing. The longer they stay out of the dating game, the more their confidence diminishes, and the more daunting the idea of re-entering it becomes. However, it's important to note that not all older men are resigned to a life without companionship. Many still crave connection, even if they are hesitant to pursue it. For some, the answer lies in finding ways to build connections that don't involve the pressures of traditional dating. This might mean focusing on friendships, joining social groups, or participating in activities where they can meet new people in a more relaxed, low-pressure environment. These kinds of connections can provide the emotional fulfillment they need without the fears and anxieties that come with romantic relationships. For others, the key is finding ways to rebuild their confidence. This might mean taking steps to improve their physical health, finding new hobbies that bring them joy and a sense of purpose, or seeking support from friends, family, or even professional counselors to work through their emotional wounds. Rebuilding confidence is not an overnight process, but it is possible, and for many men, it can be the first step towards opening themselves up to the possibility of a new relationship. Ultimately, the decision to remain single is a deeply personal one, influenced by a complex mix of emotional wounds, fears, and practical considerations. For many older men, the emotional cost of dating feels too high, the risks too great, and the comfort of a solitary life too appealing to give up. But that doesn't mean they aren't capable of love or that they don't have anything to offer. It simply means that, for now, they are choosing the path that feels safest, the path that allows them to protect themselves from further pain. And that choice is valid, even if it isn't always understood by others. If you're finding this discussion insightful, please consider subscribing to our channel. We explore topics like this one in depth, offering a window into the real experiences and emotions that shape people's lives. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the emotional challenges older men face when it comes to dating? Let's keep the conversation going. 6. Health challenges and family dynamics, the impact on relationships. As men grow older, health becomes an inevitable part of the equation, and for many older men, health challenges are a significant factor in their decision to stay single. The aging process brings with it a host of physical and emotional changes that can deeply impact one's desire and ability to engage in romantic relationships. For men between the ages of 55 and 75, the complexities of managing their health, along with the family dynamics that often accompany this stage of life, make the prospect of staying single a more appealing choice. One of the most obvious ways that health influences the decision to stay single is through the physical limitations that come with aging. Many older men face chronic health issues such as diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, or mobility limitations. These conditions not only impact their physical capabilities but also take a toll on their confidence. The idea of being in a relationship when one's health is declining can feel daunting. Men may worry that they won't be able to keep up with their partner or that their health issues will become a burden. The fear of being seen as weak or incapable can be enough to make them shy away from the idea of pursuing a romantic relationship altogether. Health challenges can also lead to a decline in libido or sexual interest, which further complicates the prospect of dating. While physical intimacy remains important for some, for many men in this age group, it becomes less of a priority. Hormonal changes, side effects from medications, or simply the natural process of aging can lead to a reduced desire for sexual activity. Without the same drive for physical intimacy, the motivation to seek out a romantic relationship diminishes. Instead, many men find fulfillment in other forms of companionship, such as friendships, hobbies, or the company of a pet, without the pressures or expectations that come with a romantic relationship. Another major concern for older men is the potential of becoming a caregiver. As people age, the likelihood of needing care increases, and for men who have health issues of their own, the idea of taking on the role of a caregiver for a partner can be overwhelming. They may feel that they are barely managing their own health and well-being, and the thought of being responsible for someone else's care is simply too much to handle. This concern is particularly acute for men who have already experienced caregiving in a previous relationship, whether for a spouse who became ill or for elderly parents. The emotional and physical demands of caregiving are substantial, and many men are not willing to put themselves in a position where they may have to take on that role again. In addition to health issues, family dynamics play a significant role in the decision to remain single. For many older men, particularly those in their late 50s to 70s, dating often means navigating not just a new partner but also their partner's family. Many women in this age group have adult children, and integrating into a family dynamic where children are already grown can be challenging. These children, especially if they are still living at home or are heavily involved in their mother's life, may be resistant to the idea of their parent dating someone new. They may see the new partner as an outsider or even a threat to the established family routine. The potential for conflict with stepchildren adds another layer of complexity to relationships. For older men who are already emotionally cautious or uncertain about stepping into a new relationship, the prospect of dealing with resistant or unwelcoming children can be a deal-breaker. They may feel unwelcome or out of place in their partner's family, which can create tension and discomfort. In addition, these children may have their own financial needs or emotional issues, which can further complicate the relationship. For men who have already raised their own children or who are not interested in taking on the responsibilities of a stepfather, these dynamics can feel overwhelming. Another aspect of family dynamics that affects the decision to stay single is the desire to maintain relationships with their own children and grandchildren without complications. Many older men place a high value on their role as fathers and grandfathers and do not want to do anything that might jeopardize those relationships. They may worry that entering a new relationship could create tension or competition between their partner and their children, leading to strained family dynamics. For these men, the choice to remain single is about preserving harmony within their family and ensuring that they can continue to be fully present for their children and grandchildren without any distractions or complications. Financial concerns also intersect with family dynamics, particularly when it comes to inheritance and legacy planning. Many older men want to ensure that the assets they have worked hard to accumulate are passed on to their children and grandchildren. Entering a new relationship, especially one that could lead to marriage, might complicate those plans. They may be concerned about how a new partner's financial needs or expectations could affect their ability to leave a legacy for their family. This desire to protect their children's inheritance can be a powerful motivator for staying single, as it allows them to maintain control over their financial future and ensure that their family is provided for. For some older men, the thought of blending families is simply too much to manage. When both partners have children and grandchildren, the logistics of holidays, family gatherings, and day-to-day interactions can become incredibly complicated. The emotional energy required to navigate these blended family dynamics can feel exhausting, especially for men who are looking for peace and simplicity in their later years. They may prefer to keep their family life separate from their romantic life, which often means choosing to remain single. It's also worth noting that many older men have a strong sense of independence and are set in their routines. After years of living life on their own terms, they may be reluctant to make the compromises that are necessary in a relationship. This is particularly true when it comes to health and family matters, where they may feel that their routines and ways of managing their lives are working well for them. The idea of adjusting those routines to accommodate a new partner, particularly one who comes with her own health issues or family obligations, can feel like more trouble than it's worth. For these men, staying single is about preserving the independence they have worked so hard to achieve. The desire for control over their own lives is a recurring theme among older men who choose to remain single. Whether it's control over their health, their finances, or their family dynamics, these men are making deliberate choices to prioritize their own well-being and happiness. They have experienced enough of life to know what works for them and what doesn't, and they are not willing to compromise on the things that bring them peace and stability. This isn't about being selfish, it's about being realistic and making choices that align with their values and priorities. In conclusion, the reasons why older men in the United States are choosing to stay single are varied and complex. From health challenges that make the prospect of a relationship seem daunting to family dynamics that complicate the idea of blending lives, these men are making choices that reflect their experiences and priorities. While many find peace and contentment in solitude, others may eventually reconsider their stance as they confront the challenges of aging alone. Each man's journey is unique, but the common thread is a desire for simplicity, independence, and control over their own lives. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. If you found these insights valuable, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. We love exploring topics like this, and your support helps us continue to bring you thoughtful, in-depth content. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, we'd love to hear your perspective on these issues, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your feedback means the world to us. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.